the right to vote.
Hi, I'm Natalie Shabahang. I'm a stand-in for Pooja Agarwal.
I'm Cassie.
I'm Carolyn Bolio.
$1979. Crazy day at school, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Hey Julie, isn't it groovy that your great-grandma, Susan B. Anthony, has her very own coin? You know, if it weren't for the debate over women's suffrage, we wouldn't have as many health and safety laws that protect the inhabitants of our country.
You must be so proud of your great-grandma. You know that Susan B. Anthony was a very influential leader during the women's suffrage movement, which lasted from 1848 to 1920, when women voted for the first time.
Yeah, I know. It's so radical. I'm really proud of her. It wasn't easy fighting for what you believed in back then. Some were jailed for just speaking out about women's suffrage and what they believed.
Hey, I just got a great idea. Why don't we do women's suffrage for our National History Day project?
Totally, that's an amazing idea. I'm so glad we get to be one of the first participants of NHD.
I have some books on suffrage in my bag. That works out perfectly.
NHD is so much fun. I hope it sticks around.
Anyway, I think we should do more research on the time period of women's suffrage.
I wonder what it was like back then. Good day to you, ladies. While we discuss current events, could I interest you in some tea?
I'd love some, thank you.
Yes, please.
I've called you two here to discuss our differences and to catch up on current suffrage news.
I don't get all the fuss about women voting. Women in my day took care of their families, and we've been getting along just fine without all this voting nonsense. Voting is a man's job.
So are you about to let that drunk that's always hanging out at Joe's bar vote as opposed to a fine, young, educated woman like yourself? We are fully capable of taking on that responsibility. Do you think it's right for them to expect us to obey the laws they're making if we don't get a darn say in who the leaders are? No, that's my answer.
That's what Susan B's always saying.
Oh, hush up, Elizabeth. I've heard enough about this troublemaking, Ms. Anthony.
She ain't no troublemaker. She believes in us women and knows we can make a difference and leave our mark on this country by making it cleaner and safer.
I still think it's all nonsense. Politics is no place for a woman.
As women right now, we have no rights in this country. Remember 30 years back when you divorced your husband? You didn't get to keep a single one of your children. That's because we are treated like property. He was treating you unjustly, but you couldn't do a thing about it because women are not protected in any way by the law. Now, doesn't being thought of and treated as property make us equivalent to slaves? Yes, that's my answer.
Women deserve to have some rights and some power so we can protect our families and ourselves.
If we get the right to vote, we can turn this country around. It's about more than just getting a say in things. We can make laws to have cleaner streets and make rancid meat come out of our markets so that our families will stay healthy.
That's just hosh-posh. Do I look unhealthy to you? And I'm 60. No way is all that trash he's talking about supposed to go.
Us women can figure something out. Anyway, it's better than our streets.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
Ladies, guess what I heard?
What?
I heard from Louisa May, heard from Georgina, was talking to Bella. Said she heard Johnny's mother slapped him silly for something he did.
Well, Susan, I heard he was attending those meetings men are holding against suffrage.
And what, may I ask you, is wrong with that?
And what, may I ask you, isn't?
Well, my husband, Frank,
Oh, here we go again.
is part of the Grange, you know, the farmers organization. They're supporters of the suffrage since all us women are working hard as they are on the farm. And they think we should have a say in who's getting elected and making laws too.
Oh, he's one of them smart men.
I say he's dumb.
I might have to pay him a visit. Maybe he'd be helpful to our council.
Well, you all know Jackson Spratt, who lives down on Hickory in the big old house. He came round to our farm last week trying to convince my Frank of joining the committee here in town against suffrage. He said us women are going to become too confident. powerful. And we're going to forget to take care of our homes and our families. But you know what my Frank said? He told Jackson to get off our property.
Oh, honey, he's so sweet. You married so well.
Hogwash.
Men are worried we'll become too masculine and have a role reversal or something.
Yeah, they're also worried about losing political power.
Just think of all the good things that would come out of women voting.
Yeah, but we's never gonna get the right if we don't go federal. All these small state campaigns are pretty useless if you ask me.
I think any suffrage is a gain, no matter how big or how small, like Lucy Stone believes.
Well, if y'all ask me, I ain't getting up at the crack of dawn to go out in my garden and throw out my bag. I ain't doing no man's work, voting or otherwise.
Well, who asked you anyway?
I think that men are so gosh darn crazy anyways. The world would just be a better place if women could vote.
You know, some of those beautiful women, like myself, may try to flirt their way through politics.
No, they won't.
Yes, they will.
No, they won't.
Yes, they
Guess
will.
what I heard?
What?
Susan B. Anthony is making a speech at in the park today about, oh wait, we better get there. It's gonna start soon. Do you ladies want to go?
I'd love to.
I guess we'll go see what all the hullabaloo's about.
So, are we going then?
Yes.
Well, at least we agree on one thing.
Wow, I never knew that women's suffrage was such a huge landmark in American history. It was the start of the equal rights movement.
Yeah, women started to get more rights after the suffrage, which ended with the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. It was the start to the whole equal rights movement.
When you think about it, almost half of all Americans became enfranchised, since we make up about half of the human race. Before, women were treated like property.
But now, thanks to suffrage, women are treated like their own person, and the law protects divorced women.
The law also protects married women now, and there are laws against abuse. You know, there were other countries in Europe that gave women the right to vote before the United States did, which is probably where American women got the idea to do the same. Women did not only want to have power to vote, but they just wanted to change things, like removing trash on the streets.
Yeah, and making rancid meat outlawed to maintain healthier people.
I also learned that women and African Americans came together to form one large group called the ERA, or the Equal Rights Association, and they fought for the right to vote together.
And they later formed two separate groups, one composed of African American men and the other composed of women.
Did you read about the Seneca Falls Convention?
Yeah, I did. It took place in Seneca Falls, New York, during the July of 1848. Many people mark it as it being the beginning of the women's suffrage movement, but no one really knows for sure where or when it started. It was just kind of a belief that spread rapidly throughout the country.
Gosh, I hope we do well at National History Day.
Yeah, me too.
No matter, my friends. Remember Susan B. Anthony's last words. Failure is impossible.
Thank you.
Good job and very good standing in. That was very
Thank you.
impressive with our little prep time. I was very interested in why you picked up the southern part there, and then who kind of wrote your dialogue for that.
Well, the whole southern part, our idea was for one reason we really wanted to show distinction between the two different time eras. So we thought that'd be a really for sure way to show that. Another way was there was a lot of controversy in the South because a lot of the older women there were very traditional and a lot of the younger women there were, oh, we want the right to vote, you know, and I'm really excited about it. So.
I thought you did a great job
Thanks.
showing that it's not all women that were for this, that there was a really definite difference of opinion even among women. So that was a great job.
Yeah, we found that really interesting. So.
Yeah.
So, I'd like you to talk a little bit about the sources you used, particularly when you talk about women's suffrage. People usually see it in isolation. Why do women, they don't bother to ask the question why. You brought up all kinds of reasons why women wanted to vote because of what they would do if they got the vote. Talk about that, and where did you find that information?
Well, actually, definitely our most valuable resource was an interview with Emily Fajol. She's a curator and creator of the exhibit Petticoat Patriots at Michigan Women's Historical Center and Hall of Fame. We had a phone interview with her, and she answered so many questions that we had just about how women felt in different ways, because a lot of the sources written now, like and websites and books and things, they are pretty unbiased and just mainly factual because they were written later, so they don't have as many opinions and things like that. Another thing we got was newspaper articles from the Grand Rapids Herald that we got on microfilm at the Grand Rapids Public Library downtown.
And many pictures were very helpful too.
Yeah,
so.
pictures, like people had signs, like picket signs that were just really cool, gave you something to think about.
So the Grand Rapids Herald, so there was a local connection to this too.
Yeah, which was really interesting. And they would send reporters to state conventions, they'd send them to federal conventions, so we got a lot of things like that.
Well, I mean, it's such an important piece to this story because a lot of times it's sort of thrown in as an add-on during what we call progressive era American history. And it may be that women were coming into political power that caused all these other changes, which, you know, like better food and all of those other things. And trash collection. What a novel concept. So thanks for that one. So, you know, I mean, that's really true. I mean, it's a big deal. I'm glad you brought that in.
And also good for you to bring in Europe, that in fact, there were a lot of people in Europe, you know, that there was the woman who stood in front, Pankhurst, wasn't it, who stood in front of the horse to protest this and was actually run down by the king's horse at a very famous horse race in England.
Right.
So that European connection was also impressive.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we added that in there because ours was mainly focusing on the United States suffrage. We didn't want to make it too broad. You know
Sure,
what I'm saying?
right. That was a good balance.
Thank you, but I thought we wanted to make sure we really said something about it.
Touched it on it, but didn't get off track.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with your script? I thought it was really well done.
Yes, yes.
Well, definitely. We all love to write and do things together, and it was just a really fun thing we were able to do. And
When we found there was a coin,
there was a coin, we definitely wanted to use the coin.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Like it would just be such a neat concept in another dimension, and that was really helpful. When we were in the 70s, that kind of tied it back in.
It's for the successes and things like that, and the consequences.
Yeah, this is quite an artifact for you guys. You know, for me, it's just a regular coin. You reminded me about age. That's very cool. And focusing it on one person like that is a good idea too, because it's otherwise it would have been.
Yeah.
It's great.
Very good job.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Convey the best to your partner who's not here.
Thank you. We'll pass that along.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks.